It is our fourth and final session here. Our three charts pulled up with the Ichimoku, green clouds everywhere. You can see the pound US dollar has been on quite a run, and we would have got an entry signal at the end of this candle where the crossover occurs above the cloud. Measure it back to the Kijun, that would have been about 17 pips or so. It looks like you would have just about taken profit. Should be right up in the zone at least. That would have been a nice trade to have been in on. That started 45 minutes ago. Euro yen, similar story. Look at this, would have been a nice trade here. That would have been the 10 pip minimum, and you would have comfortably taken profit. Probably would have been trailed out on one of these volatile candles, so I don't think you would have made too much from the trailing stop loss. But again, another winning trade. Today, the early bird would have gotten the worms, but we are the tortoise, not the hare, and I am guessing that we are going to be waiting again. Aussie Caddy, those two lines are closer together. Price in the cloud at the moment, we're likely to see a crossover to the north if it does come, but when the price can make it above the cloud, by the time that cross comes, gonna be difficult if it's in one of these periods with this higher cloud. Let's check out the economic calendar, see what's going on. It is a big day. There is an absolutely huge amount of stuff going on. Mostly a lot of this clogged up by market. That's market the company, MARKIT. Their purchasing managers index, they do them for manufacturing, services, and a composite. You got them all over the place. So what I'm going to do is that we are going to ignore everything that is a priority 2. So if we look here on this priority column, we see orange or yellowy color here. We're going to get rid of those and we are going to just leave the reds. So we just go on priority here and untick medium. And that's what we're left with. Still a few events. Happy Day of Reconciliation in South Africa. Don't know if there'll be too much reconciliation after Zuma was ordered back to prison. But it's a national holiday, so try and enjoy it if you are in South Africa. We had a speech from Governor Lowe on the Aussie dollar at 130, followed by employment change numbers at 2:30. It was a real nice beat for Australia. They were forecast to lose 89,000 jobs, but managed to add 366,000. Very nice for them, although I would say never trust the MetaTrader forecast for jobs numbers. Certainly when the NFP, ADP, those concerned, wrong. Don't really know why, but there we go. And in the European session, we have had interest rate decisions. Swiss held at negative 0.75%, and the Norwegian bank increases from 0.25% to 0.50%. Norway, one of the first European countries to move on their interest rates. That is continuing now. And then we have got two big interest rate decisions this afternoon. Two currencies that we're trading on. Great British Pound, the Bank of England at 2 o'clock. Just under 3 hours away. We expect to see volatility when that comes. Currently, interest rates at 0.1%. Has been pressure on them to increase. Uncertainty around Omicron for them. But it was a surprise at their last interest rate decision that they didn't raise them up. So now you feel it's got to be the time to pull the trigger. 45 minutes after that, 2:45 ECB interest rate decision. That is a big one. Obviously, the euro is considered a bigger currency than the pound, but Christine Lagarde and the European Central Bank have signaled heavily they don't expect any rate increases for 2022. And we're still in 2021, so don't expect any increase there at all. But nevertheless, we'll probably still see some volatility. And I think some volatility will be an understatement when we actually see it. And then we have got a 3-star number, building permits from the US dollar at 3:30. Even though it is red listed for its priority, don't think we'll see that in particular drive the charts crazy. It'll be a volatile time of day regardless. And unlikely that we'll be trading at that time, but 9 o'clock, Bank of Mexico interest rate decision. If you are on the peso, or watch out for that one. Well, we do want to try and get a trade entry today, and these charts don't look anywhere near to that, even though they do show a couple of nice winning trades that would have occurred this morning. Going to have a mosey on through the other forex charts, the majors, the minors, all the charts, those big 8 currencies. See if there are any that look close to a signal. Seeing a crossover here on the dollar-Japanese yen pair. Tenkan-sen beneath Kijun-sen, but it's only got a minute for price to make it beneath the cloud to get a valid entry signal there. Can't see that happening. Yeah, doesn't make it through. Here's one that we can keep an eye on, a Great British Pound Swiss franc. Those are two lines that are directly on top of one another. No white pixels sticking out. Both the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen are using this high and this low. That is 7 periods back. So when that one drops off for the Tenkan-sen line in a couple periods, it should move higher as they'll both be using this low, but the Tenkan will be using this low instead down here. Would have been a nice move on the pound yen here as well. That's a winning trade. You'd have entered a buy trade right there, and possibly a nice trailer as well. Don't know if there's a retracement in here that's going to get you out. Looks like that would have, yeah. But even so, very nice. Okay, so we're just going to add the pound Swiss yen. That one seems to be the closest. So now we've got it as a quad, 4 currency pairs. Pound US dollar top left, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar top right, Euro, Japanese yen at bottom left, and Great British pound, Swiss franc, and new edition, that's in the bottom right. Coming up to 11:45, and we should see on the Aussie dollar CAD in the top right, yeah, the lines do separate from one another. The Tenkan Sen crosses the Kijun Sen, and we've currently got price above the Kumo cloud as well. What a push it made in the last period. So if it closes above the cloud, we are in. That'll be a buy trade on that pair right there. And at the same time, we should see the pound Swiss franc separate. This is currently period 9, so it's the last period that the Tenkan Sen is using. Once this candle closes, the Tenkan Sen won't be eligible to use that one anymore, but the Kijun will still use it. So that should see the Tenkan Sen cross above the Kijun Sen. With 20 seconds until the end of the candle, all we're going to do is measure out from where price is here down to the Kijun Sen. So we'll call that 14 pips, which means it will be 0.50 standard lots per sub trade. Here we go, going to get confirmation. And we do, the crossover occurs. Let's punch that volume in. So then again, these spreads kind of suck. What we're going to do is move this down to the Kijun Sen like that. And that's the difference with the spread there. It actually came through 15.6 pips instead of the 14. That's fine though. We'll mirror that figure, 156 points. And sub-trade B will do the same, but we will manually trade it should the Kijun Sen go to our favor. Pound Swiss franc, that looks pretty certain to give the go-ahead, but we better wait for the full confirmation just to be sure. And we are about to get the close on this Great British Pound Swiss franc trade. Our little cameo chart here on the strategy, and we are going to be FOMOing in right at the top of a move here. This doesn't feel great, but let's measure it out from the Kijun Sen. Up there, we're going to call that 27 pips. It is small on the lots as we do get the close. You see the crossover happens. I like this coming back down before we've got our entry in because it doesn't feel good to be in where we are. But there's our buy trades. And let's drag one of the stop losses down to the Kijun Sen. So that is 247 points for both the stop loss and the take profit, mirroring one another. And we'll set the stop loss for this one. Again, we will manually trail it as we go. Would like to know what it feels like to trail the stop loss. Ooh, it's got to feel good, right? See how these trades go. 1:05, and there's not too much going on our trades. Aussie Caddy, that is running towards the stop loss. Do expect it to find its way there in the not too distant future. And the pound Swiss franc, that really comes down to the interest rate decision. I think can't see it moving to the stop loss or the take profit before 2 o'clock. We are incorrect about the pound Swiss franc pair. We didn't get to wait until the interest rate decision. 1:19, stop loss goes. $103.50 down from that trade. And the Aussie Caddy is nearing as well. Just a bit more of a push, and we could see that stop loss go. Really looks like it's going to get there. Just 5 seconds now until the Bank of England interest rate decision. We have seen a resurgence on the Australian dollar CAD. It's come to our favour. We do see the pound US dollar starts absolutely flying. Volatility hits the markets. Are we going to see overflow on the Aussie Caddy? Still got our pound Swiss franc trade as well there. If we hadn't been knocked out at the bottom, it would have gone the other way. Would have gone to the good, snapped up in favour of the pound and taken our profit. We got knocked out right at the bottom there of that move. And we can see that the Bank of England did decide to increase interest rates. The increase by 15 basis points to 0.25%. That is why we're seeing the pound strengthen against the dollar and against the Swiss franc. Haven't seen any real impact onto the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar though. Not surprised we don't see a knock-on effect there. Has been an increase in volume, but not enough to shift anything. We continue a little bit in loss for the trade, $20 down per sub-trade. And if we look ever so carefully on the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar pair, we can see at the Kijun Sen, it has just found a new high from this current period, and it has ticked ever so slightly up. That means if it closes that way in 7 minutes time, we are going to be able to trail that stop loss up just a couple pipettes there. Really nice stuff, really good. Meanwhile, we can see the pound Swiss franc has leveled off for the minute, 0.5%, just like that. Would have been nice, would have been nice. Let's close down this Great British Pound Swiss franc chart though. Don't see us getting a signal anytime soon, and we'll go back to the original 3, which means we've got our Australian dollar, Canadian dollar over here on the right. Here comes the close, and we are going to be able to trail the stop loss of our sub-trade B. We'll move it up with the Kijun Sen. There it is. We are moving and shaking. It is the afternoon of the 4th and final session, and here comes the big push. Can we make back all of our losses if we just trail this stop loss on and on and on all day? Maybe we can get there. Maybe we can believe. We might get helped on in 14 minutes time. Maybe the ECB interest rate decision can push this on, have an impact on the Aussie dollar, Caddy dollar. drive us forward. Interest rate decision in just a few seconds, and we do have the privilege of trading our Australian dollar, Canadian dollar stop loss further up the chain. We did get a new high, not seeing as big of an impact here, but on the calendar straight away they are held completely as expected. Well, there we go. There's some volatility coming into it. Big push from the euro against the yen here. Look at the rockets on that. If you're in a buy trade there, fantastic stuff. 0.25%, and doesn't look like it wants to stop either. Boom. We are pushing on the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Go trade. Get to that take profit level. $38 up, $39 up per sub trade now. Really exciting stuff here. Could get a winner. The take profit level is now in sight. Keep pushing, Aussie Caddy. A bit more. You can do it. It is right at the top of the chart, that level. There it is. We did it. We got a winning trade. Oh, yes. The money maker. And our trading stop loss continues to move up nicely. That one is not in guaranteed profit yet. We could see it fall straight back down. We need the Kijun cent to keep on rising. That'll happen with time. For now, we have banked $61 from sub trade A. Doesn't that feel good as we see price retreat back down? Maybe we got out at the top. Who knows, but it does feel incredible to get a winning trade from the Ichimoku kinko. Ohio. 4:15. Some of these prices coming back down to earth. Euro Japanese yen in the middle. That has taken a steep drop off the top. And the last couple pairs, our Aussie Caddy has been trundling down as well. Trading stop loss, we can move it with the Kijun, but it has got to get a wriggle on and get above our entry price if we want to be in guaranteed profit for this sub trade. Doesn't look promising, but momentum could easily change. This is a lot. You could consider that overheated to the downside potentially. Going to make a return. Have those building permit numbers from the US as well. 1.71 million actual against 1.62 forecast. So that was a beat for them. They'll be pleased with that. More building permits than expected. Construction rolls on. It is pushing down very heavily here. That stop loss is going to get knocked any second. There it does go. And so we're not actually able to make a profit on that sub trade. $15.27 loss from it. Not as bad as the usual loss, but it does drag down our winning sub trade. Means that we only made $45.73 from that one trade. Not as much as any of the losers, and I don't think there'll be any new entry signals soon. So we will call that the end of the strategy. 4 days, 4 trades. Total loss of $290.61, leaving us with $5,379.01 in the bank account. Disappointing from a results perspective, of course, but that's the way it does go with a lot of these default interpretations of indicators for entries. Let's check out all of the results from our trades over in the journal. Here is the journal, each of the 4 trades laid out in front of us, and none of them looking particularly appealing. Well, the second Aussie Caddy, of course, that one turned out okay, but the rest of it, what a mess. $290.61 lost, averaging over $72 a day lost, and you can't go on like that forever when you start with a bank balance of $5,669. Even with just 2% capital at risk, it'll be surprising how quickly it goes down. And the best day of all was day number 3. We know 0 trades, 0 winners, 0 losers. So what does that tell you about the strategy? Probably that it's best to stay clear of it. You are better off not trading at all than you are trading the Ichimoku crossover. That's it for the journal. Let's just have some final thoughts on the strategy. Final thoughts, as has been the theme throughout these 4 sessions of trading, we need to say that there really wasn't many trades to be had. That is somewhat solvable. As we demonstrated in the final session, we were able to flick through other charts and find an entry signal which we wouldn't have to wait until 6:45 in the evening to take. So if you are desperate to trade the Ichimoku crossover on the 15-minute time frame, you can cycle through all of the forex pairs your broker offers, get on the metals, the energies. You will find trades quicker if you look hard enough for them. But if you're someone who just sits up on one chart like the Euro US dollar, then you are more likely than not going to be left waiting a very long time for your entry. Irregardless of the very small sample size of trades, we still need to give a review of the strategy based on what we did trade. Not so good, to be generous to the entry signals. We used all of the default inputs for the Kumo cloud, Tenkan Sen and Kijun Sen lines, using the default entry signal recommendations based off of those inputs. Taking these signals in our trades, we only had a 25% success rate in sub trade A with a a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio and a 0% success rate in subtrade B from the Kijun trailing stop loss. There was only actually one of our trades where we were able to trail the stop loss at all. Now, we did see other entry signals on the charts that did appear as though they would have led to greater profits on those trades compared to our own, but we cannot confirm that. We can only backtest to the best of our ability. The trouble is, with a trailing stop loss, the retracements become very hard to judge with a 10 pip stop loss minimum, and even if we did take profits from those trades, I think of it as extremely unlikely that those gains would be able to outweigh the losses that we faced. We can't just pick out those trades and say, well, we would have taken those winners but not the losers that came before it, so I don't think those ifs and buts get the strategy very far. And in light of the 4 days that we've been on this strategy, I do have to put a heavy emphasis against trading the Ichimoku crossover strategy with the default inputs. Even though you'll find these signals recommended a lot, I seriously think you should not get suckered into them. Don't cost yourself the time and or money. That's not to say that they never work or that parts of the Ichimoku indicator can't be used elsewhere in other strategies, or that it can't be useful as a basic assessment of the past price action without letting it have a say on your actual entries. But actually taking your entries from the standard default interpretation of the indicator, it is almost certainly going to be a bust for you. That's what we get sometimes for using indicators created in 1968. Yikes. That's it from us though. If you are currently hiding away from a dysfunctional family that you do not want to be a part of, instead of engaging with them, why not instead check out the links and the information in the video description. Finally, just in case you thought otherwise, this strategy and all of our strategies, unless stated otherwise, are traded with demo money. Fake money, not real. Thank you for watching. This is Project Trade. I am the Technical Warlock, and there will be more.